Hey friends, Steve Lummer with Outdoor Nations Network and TrailheadTacos.com. Just want to say thanks for joining us on this video. And I'd like to introduce Michael Taylor, a fellow mountain bike friend of mine, adventurer, businessman in the community. So Michael, welcome. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me in. Looking forward to our talk today.
We began this nonprofit called Outdoor Nations Network to come alongside pastors and ministry leaders in trailhead towns. We're in outdoor communities, and there's three things. We want to support them. We want to see missionaries sent out on trails, and we want to see churches begin adventure ministries in and through their church. So we want to support pastors in resourcing them with how to reach the demographic of the outside tribe. Let's take Prescott, Arizona, for example. People move to this community for the outdoor adventures.
Absolutely.
People will move to Bend, Oregon because it's an outdoorsy town. People will move to Durango, Telluride, Ouray, Jackson Hole.
Sure.
20 years ago, people moved there because it was skiing and all that. Now you can't touch a place there, but
Right. Truckee,
California, trailhead towns. So we want to come alongside these churches. Just last week, I was in Bernie, California, which is a town of 3,000 people that is in the Mount Shasta National Wilderness area. And that church last year they reached 1,800 thru hikers on the Pacific Crest Trail by picking them up, bringing them to their facility just right on the Pacific Crest Trail and feeding them, giving them showers, helping them. And I met a girl, her trail name was Trooper, a young girl from Munich, Germany, last week that had fractured her foot hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and she was stuck at the church for 2 weeks. I think the Holy Spirit had something to do with that. And so I met her, and she listened to my sermon called Trails, Tales, and Tacos, and we got to pray with her, and the church is ministering to her. So there's all these churches in trailhead towns, just peppered throughout the whole country. And if we just utilize the normal stuff that we've done in church for the last 20 years, popsicles, snow cones, bouncy houses, giving away cars, whatever it is, there's another demographic that group of people won't even come because we don't even speak their language. So we want to resource them with how to speak the outside tribe's language and reach out to them so that they can come to Christ. That's the main purpose. And then we want to send missionaries. Right now, Outdoor Nation financially supports, prayerfully, 3 full-time missionaries on the Appalachian Trail, the Arizona Trail, and the Pacific Crest Trail. They're out there on those trails right now. So Outdoor Nations wants to support pastors and ministry leaders in trailhead towns. We want to send missionaries to the outdoorsy places, the most wild places in America. And then we want to see churches develop adventure ministries in and through their church. In fact, I'd love that job. I would love to have that job where you're the adventure pastor, because you wouldn't be in the office. You'd be out of the trail.
Well, we've talked about that. Pastors end up being inside their whole careers, and they need to be out and have that release and the freedom and experience God's creation.
We've done now for 3 years an event called Desert Fathers. And Desert Fathers Collective is an effort to get pastors out of their offices into some of the most wild places. Like last year we were in Joshua Tree National Park, Death Valley National Park in the winter. And we've taken 35 pastors to these Desert Fathers events where they can slow down, they can seek God, they can have some Sabbath. And again, it's the 3-day rule. We take away the cell phones for a little bit, so they're not getting a call from a deacon because a pipe burst in the church or sister so-and-so's mad about whatever. And so, is it okay if I said that? It's true, man.
I think so.
It's true because you're tethered to that church. And when can these pastors have time to hear from God? Or to work on the inner man? It's like we, as men especially, spend our entire lives working on the container, our job, our occupation, our house, our family, all the things that we want to accumulate So we spend the first half of our life working on the container, and then at the end of that, we're like, there's no contents in the container. And pastors are no different. We, a lot of times, work on the container of the ministry, and there's no contents. So Desert Fathers is in an effort to get pastors away from the routine of everyday work.
Sure.
Of which you know everyday work.
I know about that.
Yeah, everyday work. So we want to get them away to get refreshed. And so that's part of getting them outside so God can speak to their inside.
Well, and there's one of my favorite sayings talks about iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
And when you are the leader of a church, it's hard to find the people that sharpen you. So getting those pastors together and having iron sharpen iron in that way, I think is really important.
Yeah, I won't spend a lot of time on that, but pastors are notorious for isolation. You know, they're isolated, they isolate themselves, and to kind of open up and be transparent with other ministry leaders is difficult. Man, once you step over that line, the cusp of just transparency, and break that threshold of being so private, and that's where a campfire comes in, or a mountain bike ride, or a rappelling trip, or a river trip, and that's where you let down all of the shell, if you will, or the container part, and God really begins to work on the content.